tiny kitchen in my tiny home. We're heading into autumn here in New Zealand, as I mentioned in my last video, and autumn is a wonderful time for harvesting, obviously, but also harvesting wild foods. Like, we have quite a lot of wild foods in New Zealand that are not endemic or native to New Zealand, but they're still all the same really wonderful to harvest. Like, I harvested beautiful pears today along the roadside, and I have a friend who is as much fascinated or into harvesting wild foods as I am, and she gifted me these beautiful mushrooms. And they're not any old mushroom, that's just the head of one. These are the little baby ones. They are porcini, or Steinpilz in my language, in Swiss or German, or Boletus edulis in the scientific language. And besides them being a wonderful source of antioxidants and nutrients enriching our diet and the flavor, of course, they also have the thing called, well, no, it's not called that yet, but someone coined it as the longevity vitamin. And it's a more recent discovery in science that if you look at all the compounds in the blood of people, which one is most associated with longevity and good health outcomes in heart disease, diabetes, all these chronic diseases that we're all familiar with, there was one coming out at the top, and it's called ergothioneine. And it's a amino acid, and it has this amazing effect on longevity. Now, as we all know, there's never just one thing, and I never really want to be a reductionist like this, but it's fascinating that this thing is associated, called ergothioneine, is associated with longevity, and it's found only in fungi. So I thought, to celebrate the ergothioneine, we're gonna pickle some mushrooms. I started out by cleaning them, getting all the soil and stuff off them. I brushed it off a little bit, and sometimes I cut it off, and I chopped them into sort of good chunk pieces, and I prepared. And what I'm going to add for color, because it's a bit bland, just the white colors when you pickle them in a jar, it's just all white. I thought I'll add some pieces of pepper, and so it'll be white and red. It'll look really pretty. And of course, I'm gonna add in the brine, I'm going to add all the lovely spices and flavors. So I have 2 fresh bay leaves from my bay leaf tree. I added some chili flakes. I added some garlic, some salt. This is actually sugar. I only had coconut sugar because I don't actually eat at all sugar. And this coconut sugar I've had for probably 2 or 3 or 4 years because I made some other stuff with it where I needed it. And so I still had some of this left. If you don't want to use any sugar at all, what you could do is use any of the natural plant sweeteners, like maple syrup, date syrup, things like that, then if that suits you better. And then I got black pepper and mustard seeds. So this is going to be our brine. I'm going to cook it with vinegar and water, which I have in here. I'm going to make a brine. So my next step now is finishing off the mushrooms and chopping them, and then I will blanch them in hot water for about 5 or so minutes. Then I drain them and then I'll show you the next process. All right, so it's all on the go here, and let me show you this. No, it is not chicken. It is the stems of the mushrooms that are pulled apart and I'm going to use for dinner. I'm going to cook them up with spices and herbs, and maybe I make a pasta sauce out of it with these like chicken in it. So there you go. If you like that sort of structure of chicken meat, go for the mushroom stems. Here, let me grab the camera. These are the mushrooms being blanched, and I'm just ready to drain them and cool them down a little bit. In here, it would be so nice if you could smell it. The brine is getting ready. I think it's just about ready. The sugar and the mushrooms are just coming out. Fogged up my glasses. The brine is just about ready. The salt and the sugar have been dissolved. So the next step is draining the mushrooms, and then I prepare the glass jars. They need to be washed with very hot water. So I'll show you the next step in a minute. I've got a couple of more things that I like to add. So they're obviously not just pickling is not the only way of preserving mushrooms. You can also, oh, this is very bright here. You can also dry them, dehydrate them in a dehydrator if you have that, or and if you have not much space, because they sort of take up a bit of space in glass jars, you can keep them in glass jars if they're really dry, or paper bags. Or you could also grind them up. You can turn them into powder once they're dried, and I've done that once. I made porcini powder, and I just use it and add it to stews and sauces and stuff, and it gives it that nice umami flavor from the mushrooms. Now I've boiled the jug, the kettle, whatever you call it in your language, and I have 2 glass jars here with lids, and I'm gonna pour the hot water into them and over the lids. So I'll do it in here, completely fill them and pour it over the lids. So this is my sterilizing process. I know you can do it better. You can have it sterilized for 10 minutes in a hot water bath. That's another option. I like doing things very fast and short. Also, when you pickle, like in the proper recipe, you would have to fill them up in the jars, leave 1/4 empty at the top, and then put the jars with the special sterilizing lids into a hot water bath for 10 to 15 minutes again. I don't do it. Don't blame me if it doesn't work. For me, it works the way I do it. The main thing is that everything is nice and clean. So I boiled, let me see if I can come over here. Not boiled. Also not salted. What is it called again? Oh my gosh, I forgot the word. Blanched. That's a French word. Blancher, I think. Blanched the mushrooms and the peppers for about 3 to 5 minutes, and you can see it looks pretty with the peppers in it. So now all I do is I empty those jars, which are very hot. I put them up here, try not to burn my fingers. Then I fill in, and I fill it to the very top, the mushroom and pepper mixture. Didn't make that much. They really shrank quite a bit. Let me see if I can fill at least this one. Yeah, no, it should work out. It should be just fine. There. My gosh, I had a good eye for this. Look at this. It's exactly right. Here. And in you go, you little guys. So I like to do it fast so that everything stays nice and hot. And then here is the brine. Beautiful brine with, don't put the big bay leaves in it obviously, but everything else, actually I've got to quickly pick them out so that they don't come in. You could chop them up and put them in, of course, but I'll just put in the brine. I'll just fill it to the very top so that there is no air at the top that can oxidize things. Push them down a little bit so that they're covered. I think I even got a little bit too much brine. We'll see. We'll put some of those garlics and seeds that are at the bottom. I want them in here. They give the nice flavor. There we go. Whoops, that is full. So I got some left of the brine. Can use it for something else. Maybe there's something else. I'm gonna see if I can pickle pears. I'm into pickling, as you can see. Right out. So that's it. Give this a nice wipe around here so I don't have anything stuck on it which could let air in when I put the lids on. Put the lids on. There we go. Everything is very hot still, so it's a bit hard to close it, and close it nice and shut like that. Nice and tight. There we go. And what will happen? Look how pretty. What will happen is, there you go. These lids, when the vacuum happens, when things cool down, a vacuum is created, and these lids, the top, it will be sucked in a little bit. If it's still the same, it hasn't done the trick. It means the lids are not sealed properly, you know, they're maybe old or something like that. So there you go. That's the quick and easy way I do pickling. It's not the proper official way, but it seems to work for me. Things don't go moldy, maybe every now and then, but so far, touch wood, nothing has gone moldy. So pickling mushrooms, give it a go sometimes. You can also do it with mushrooms from the supermarket. They're just as good. Those white button mushrooms, cremini, some people call it. And they also have the ergothioneine, just like expensive lion manes or porcini are very expensive if you need to buy them. So I hope I inspired you to preserve your own wild food, and I'll see you in the next video. Please remember to subscribe, like it, because it helps me out in YouTube showing the videos more, and I can reach more people this way. Ka kite!